I just had it. Where is it? Did you touch it? I know you touched it. I swear to God, if you touched it.
What's up, guys? After my video on Wire Silver about a month or two ago, I had a lot of comments saying, "Joke's on you, I'm bronze," or "Joke's on you, I'm iron." And when I saw this, I realized that making a video on the step-by-step of how to get out of silver would be out of place. Over the next couple of months, we're going to be going over every elo bracket and talk about what you need to learn and improve on so that you can get to the next rank. And they all build on each other. So what you need to know to get out of iron will also be necessary in order to get out of bronze, etc. And everything just builds on each other. Everything in League has levels. Let's take laning, for example. To start, you need to understand the role of your lane. Then you can kind of throw in trading and how to all in your opponent, and then more matchup specific information, maybe wave management, for example. Right? You can't skip right to wave management if you don't understand how to CS and trade efficiently. We're not trying to figure out what the most basic fundamentals are in League and how to really get out of iron. I was pretty confused. Iron holds about the bottom 10% of players who play ranked. And the reality is, if you played this game, you shouldn't be here. Like, are you running it down? Are your settings optimal? Are you playing with just a mouse? Like, what's holding you back from getting to at least bronze? There has to be something hindering you from normally playing League. There's a guy in my chat last week that said that he can't play League right now because his laptop has 5 FPS. Like, is something like that happening? Can you physically not play the game? Because I found it hard to just not win. In my other videos, when I talk about throwing leads, that happens every 4 seconds in Iron. Every 4 seconds, players don't know how to play, so they're giving up their lead to you. So if you play and you try to learn, there's no way that you should stay here. Once you figured out if there's some sort of mechanical or hardware issue of holding you back, you can solve that. But before we go into what's next, I highly recommend that you find the most optimal settings and keybinds. For example, I have flash on my mouse button. It's something that I changed when I just started playing League of Legends, and I don't even think about what button I have to press when I flash 7 years later. It's instinctual to me at this point. I did this at the beginning because I found that it was easier for me to pull off my flash combos with it on my mouse button, so my other fingers can press the other buttons more efficiently. So before you do anything else, make sure that your video, audio, and keybinds are optimal for your hardware on your computer, regardless of what that is. And then take the time to go through and get familiar with your settings. This might seem elementary, but that's kind of the point. You're here for a reason because you have not figured out the basics and the other fundamentals yet. So we have to take the time to go through the boring stuff in order to get to the cool stuff like freezing or all-inning or what's the crazy new build to take. You have to learn the fundamentals before any of those other things matter. I'll give you a couple of examples of what I changed. The first one was quick cast. I've talked about this in some of my other videos, but I made sure that I had quick cast on and knew how to use it with my abilities before I even touched ranked. The second thing I did was bind the It's Warded ping. Now this came out a couple years after I was playing ranked, but it allowed me to communicate with my team even more effectively and show them, hey, this specific spot is where you need to sweep. Hey, this specific spot is where you need to avoid if you're gonna come gank my lane. Another one that I did was activate the experience animation. I'm not sure if that's the correct name for it, but whenever I get experience from any sort of kill or minion or monster, it pops up on my screen so that I know when I'm in XP range of anything going on. I did this so that in hard matchups where I had to play back and kind of play easy in the lane, I knew when I was in XP range so I could continue to get the experience even though I was playing back and playing more safe. Great, now that you figured out what's going on with your PC and your optimal settings, we can go ahead and talk about some more of the fundamental game mechanics. Like I said, the boring stuff is the foundation to getting any type of good at this game. If you don't really care and you don't want to take the time to think about the game and learn the basics, and all you want to do is go and get 20 to 30 kill games against bots, then by all means go ahead, nobody's stopping you. But for those of you that want to get better at the game, let's talk about some basic things that will help you win more games. They're very simple, but they're these little mistakes that add up over the course of games, over the course of years of you playing, that are holding you back in an elo that honestly you probably don't belong in if you fix a couple of things. The first fundamental we're going to cover is farming, which means last hitting creeps for top, mid, or ADC, and then killing jungle camps efficiently if you're the jungler. And don't fall asleep, support main, you're not out of this either. You need to learn how to set up CS for your laner when you're under tower. This basic fundamental of the game where you're getting gold is never going to change as long as this game is out. I know I talked about this in my last Aphelios video, but you need to be using the practice tool in order to get better at CSing. Aim for at least 70 CS a minute if you are iron or bronze. Trust me, that might not seem like much, but in your games, people are probably getting around 20 or 30. So if you can up that, you're basically handing yourself 2 to 3 kills. Don't buy any items and do this as many times as you need to in order to get to that 70 CS threshold. This is vitally important because you will need last hitting to become smooth as butter and be something that you don't even think about anymore. There are more things that happen during the lane, like trading and roaming, that you're not going to be able to think about if you're tunneled on farming. So this is the first thing that you need to get down if you're iron. And if you're a jungler, you need to learn how to optimally and efficiently clear camps. You need to learn how to kite jungle camps. You need to learn where they're going to reset. And you need to know how to clear as fast and efficiently as possible. And by efficiently, I mean not skipping from one side of the map to the other one, only doing one camp on each side. You need to string together multiple camps, multiple scuttle crabs, and multiple ganks in order to efficiently help your team and keep yourself within the experience threshold of the other players on the map. In order to do this, I encourage you to find a jungler of high elo challenger in one of the 4 or 5 major regions and just watch how he clears the first 5 minutes of the game. And then I want you to do the same thing as I'm telling the laners. Hop into a practice tool game, and even without a leash, I want you to full clear. Learn how to efficiently figure out what camps you need to take and when you need to back and where you go from base. I feel like a lot of junglers leave base with no real agenda as to what they're going to do over the next minute or two. This is vitally important if you want to improve, so I encourage you, watch pros play the jungle and do exactly what they do. Copy them verbatim until you figure out why they do what they're doing. The second thing you need to learn how to do is push. Now, this is a general rule of thumb, so there will be instances when you can't do this, but in most cases, you should shove the wave into the enemy tower before backing, roaming, getting vision, pretty much thinking about doing anything else. You need to push your wave first. And what I mean by push your wave is that you need to have the enemy tower hitting the minions. The reason this is so important is that it allows you to miss the least amount of minions. What will happen are a couple of things, and I'm not even going to touch on all of them because there's way too many benefits for actually doing this. One of them is that the wave will swing back towards you. So if you recall, when you get back to lane, the wave will be pushing towards your tower. You can farm and get that gold safer than you would have been able to. The second is that they can't freeze on you, and this is one of the reasons why it's safer for you, is that all the gold is pushing right back into you under your tower so you can farm safely. And the third is that it makes it harder for your enemy to roam against you. If you're in base, the last thing you want is your enemy laner roaming around the map. But one of the ways you can stop this is by pushing your wave into the enemy tower so that if they decide to roam, they're missing precious gold and precious experience in your lane. And it forces them to pick something. Either they can be present on the map or lose the gold and experience. We're definitely going to talk about this one more in the future videos, but just know that pushing your wave is very important pretty much before you do anything. All right, I'm a little bit behind schedule of where I wanted to be in this video, so I'm going to talk about 3 more things a little quicker. The third one is for all my laners out there, and this is to not trade or all in your opponent if they're a higher level than you. This is super simple, but will save you a lot of unnecessary deaths. Basically, what you need to know is that each level has a couple hundred gold worth of combat stats, so whenever you go in, say you're level 4 against a level 5 or 6, you are down a lot of armor, a lot of AD or AP, a lot of magic resist. They basically have every advantage against you. This is obviously assuming that both of you are 100 HP with no jungler help, but just in general, you don't want to go in solo against a laner that has a higher level than you. You're just going to die most of the time. The next one is that you need to learn how to build properly and take the right runes. I will also occasionally go to pro builds to see what some pros are taking in different matchups, but I always make sure that my runes and my build are optimal for the champion I'm playing. We'll talk in later videos about when you need to change this up, but for now, just figure out one solid, simple build path that can help you get out of iron. The last thing I wanted to mention is that you need to know where to be at different stages of the game. You can't coast through the game and just expect to win. So 2 things after laning phase that I think you need to know is the first is that you need to group with your team 30 seconds before Dragon and Baron. And the second thing is to know that your team's not going to wait for you if they're grouped as 4. They're going to either get caught or find a team fight. So if your team is grouped up by Baron, they're grouped up in the enemy jungle, you need to leave the top lane, leave the bot lane, wherever you're currently farming, and join up with them. You'd rather die as 5 than have 4 of them die in an uneven fight. All right, guys, that's all I have for right now. I have plenty of more advanced things that I want to talk about in the other videos, but this is the most basic. I'm sure I missed a lot, so if you have anything anything that you would add to this video, leave it down in the comment section below so that we can continue to help these players get to where they really want to be on the ranked ladder. And as always, guys, this has been Snowda. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.